In this video, we're going to be looking at this Gens Ace. This is the IMARS D300. Getting this charger, checking it out, looking at how to use it, the different functionality. This is the smart one, which means I also got one of their Gens Ace smart batteries to go along with it. That way we can see exactly the functionality of these kind of new age, smart chargers. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is RoadsideRC. You'll tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. Let's get this thing out of the box and see what we're looking at. First thing up, instruction manual. Talks about the specs of the charger, how you can use it with the different kinds of batteries, step by step, page by page, how to use it. Very nice. A couple different languages. It's only about 14 pages to go through just the English portion. Charger itself. It's always so hard to understand how big these things are. 140 millimeters by 60 by 75. My hand, there it is. So it's travel sized. Like, you could easily take this with you. It'll clearly, obviously, work at the house. We'll get into more of the features of it here in a minute. Oh, look at there. All right, so we have our wall plug and adapter, right? It can run AC or DC. This is how I'll use mine most of the time. Glad that that plugs in there. USB cable as well, along with a couple different adapters here. So we have the XT60 that'll plug into the charger on this end. We have some EC5, some EC3s, and some Deans. The other good thing about it, since they give you double of any of these, if you need to run XTs like I run on a lot of my stuff, XT90s, things like that, you can obviously snip these off and put something different on there. But honestly, what I use most of the time is one of these. I call it my octopus. So it has an XT60 on this end, which will plug into the charger. And then on this end, it has a whole bunch of different. There's Traxxas, there's Deans, there's EC3, there's the little JST for if you're charging those kind of things. Here's an XT60 that I put on there. XT90, you got the little red plugs, you got some Tamiya plugs. So they come with all sorts of different ones, and usually a couple spares that I think that's where I soldered my XT90 onto. This is what I like, especially with everything that I do with all the various RCs that we have. And this way I can charge just about anything. I'll leave a link to one of these down in the video description as well. Absolute first thing I want to acknowledge with this, because it made me really nervous and I had to do some research before getting this charger. This is part of the Gens Ace Smart G-Tech technology, which means if you get their fancy batteries with their fancy plugs, it's kind of a no-brainer, no thoughts needed. Kind of you just plug it in and it just charges. You don't have to worry about setting up the charger appropriately. So that could be very, very good for your conditions. But if you're like me and you have a whole drawer full of batteries, then maybe all those aren't G-Tech and you need something that charges those as well. And yes, like this 2S Shorty Lipo that's non-G-Tech from Gens Ace as well, yeah, it'll charge these as well. So it'll charge the smart batteries and the dumb, normal, standard batteries all as well. It just means that you have to actually set it up like a normal charger versus just plugging it in and watching it go. So let's check out what that looks like. How do you charge a basic battery with these? So because this has a Deans or T plug on it, I need to use one of the included adapters. We're going to plug it in, and then we're just going to plug it straight into the balance port just like that. And then over here we have a channel, we have an up, a down button, and an enter button. So I plugged it in on the left hand side over here, which is channel 1. So I'm going to hit it. It says channel A right there. I'm going to hit the enter button, and then it says select task and everything right here. In the charge modes that you have here, the different tasks, you have charge. That is a balance charge. It doesn't clearly say that, but that is what it's doing. It is charging to the 4.2 volts per cell or whatever you tell it to charge to, and it's balancing at the same time. The only other one, honestly, that I ever use out of any of these functions is storage. And storage is going to put it at like a 3.8, 3.85 volts per cell, which is what I use when I'm not going to use the battery for 24 hours. All of these other modes, I just don't really use them at all. Yes, it has a digital power and an external discharge. It has some like kind of fun, kind of unique features here that we can go into, but really, for 95% of what you're going to use, 99% of what you're going to use, storage or charge. For this, we're going to go ahead and show this. The battery should already be basically on storage, so we're going to give it a charge. We're going to hit the enter button. It is a LiPo, but again, in here is where you can choose the high voltage if you want to, lithium ion, iron, and nickel metal. But this is a Lipo, and so again, target voltage 4.2 volts per cell. That is just the standard. It is a 2S battery, so you want to double check to make sure that it sees that right. And then you can set your current rate, so how fast it's going to charge, all the way up to 16 amps. Now we can check later to see if it'll actually really do that. You know, if you don't remember, if you don't know, take the milliamp of your battery. So this is a 6,000, put a decimal in there, so you can charge this battery at about 6 amps. But only do that if you really are in a rush. Honestly, I almost never do. Unless I'm like at the track and I really need to charge it fast, a lot of times I'll charge it slower than what its maybe maximum charge rate can be. We come down here, start task, and there it goes. It takes off. It tells you that it's charging. It tells you 52%. It tells you what kind of amperage we're putting into it, what kind of milliamp hour capacity we're putting into it. And then you can see down here the voltage of each individual cell as it is charging it up, how that goes. You'll expect that those will bounce around and of course be continuing to increase as you are charging. If you tip down one, it should show internal resistance. We'll have to figure out how to do that later. And then here it's showing you some other inputs of what the total cell voltage is. And then it times out and it comes to each individual channel. So it's showing you kind of an overview of what the two channels are. If you click the channel button, you'll come back in here and you can go back into whatever view you want. If you twice again, we'll come back up here and it's showing you where we are. So that is now going ahead and charging. Very simple. It's now up to like about a 3.92. So what we're going to do is come in here, and if you hit the enter button, you can either adjust the current or you can stop it. So we're going to go ahead and stop it. If we go back then, so we're still in the channel here, so we're going to enter. And like I said, the only other thing that I ever really use is storage. So we're going to go into storage, and there you go. You can see 3.80 volts per cell. And let's see on the storage side. We can give it some more juice. All right, and start. And now it's going to be taking down both of the cells to that 3.80 and balancing them there. You can see we're coming down at about 1.8 amps. That's important to watch that, and that's a difference charger to charger. I've had some chargers in the past that would only discharge down as it goes to storage. It only discharged at like 0.5 amps. Honestly, that was miserable. It would take forever. The fact that this will discharge at almost 2 amps, it's actually quite nice. I really like that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead again. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to hit stop. And let's hook up this smart battery and see what happens when we do that. So let's plug in the main cable, and then again, here you can see on these Gens Ace Smart Tech, it has this little plug thing over here. What the heck is that? But you can see there's also a little place here on the charger where that can go. And this works the same on either channel. I'm just plugging it over here just for giggles. So we just line it up, plug it in till it hits. And dude, it just took off. It didn't even think about it for a second. So it says it's a G-Tech Lipo. It automatically recognized it as a 3S. Tells us how much time remaining. Ooh, I really like that. That's really nice because it knows the capacity. See, it didn't do that on the other battery because on the other battery, it didn't know. But on this battery, because it knows what it is, it knows what battery we're charging here, it can tell you how long until we're done charging. All right, I'm going to let it get some voltage in there, then we're going to unplug it and see what happens. All right, so I charged it up just a little bit, put a little bit of voltage in it. Now we're going to come back and we're going to act, I'll put it over on this channel, just for giggles. And we're going to act as if maybe we were just out using the battery. And we're going to come in and plug it in, and we're going to see what happens on channel 1. Oh, look at that. It says charging, 4, 3, 2, it's doing a countdown. It's telling me that it's going to charge the battery. And then it just takes off. I did absolutely nothing. I literally just plugged the battery in. It sees that this is a 2200 milliamp. It knows what it is because of how smart it is. So it's charging it at exactly 2.2 amps. So again, that's a really good comparison of how easy these G-Tech batteries can be compared to maybe the standard battery. But I did say I wanted to give it a bigger shot, a bigger try here. And so what we're going to take in here is this is an Ovonic. I think Gens Ace will maybe be okay with me using an Ovonic battery to demonstrate here, but this is an Ovonic 4S 6000 milliamp. So if I come over here to channel 2 I am going to, so we should be able to, at 1C, we'd be charging this at 6 amps again, but it's going to take a lot more wattage in order to be able to do that. But just for temporary, watching here and being careful, I am going to try to charge it at a dramatically higher charge rate. Let's go. I'm going to put it at 16 amps. All right, please don't try this at home. This is me doing this so that you don't have to do it. We'll put it on charge, Lipo. It is a 4-cell. It sees that automatically. Let's see if it'll actually try to get it all the way up to 16 amps. And it's doing it while this battery is also charging. So the charger's having to do both. Let's see if it can, how many amps, hey, the fan kicked on. How many amps can it charge a 6,000 milliamp 4S at? It's slowly building. You can see it's being careful about it. That's nice. We're up to just under 10 amps. 9.7 amps is what we're putting into that battery. Not quite 2C. That's pretty good. That will charge pretty good. Now, if I come over here and I tell it to stop this one, it's supposed to have power sharing. So we're going to pull this out. And we're going to see... Oof! There's 16 amps. Oof! So when it's only charging one battery at a time, it'll now be able to throw all of the amperage at it. And it's now charging this at, what is that, like almost a 3C charge rate. I probably shouldn't let it do that very long. It's probably not the smartest thing in the world. But I wanted to see, look at that, actually doing 16 amps. It shows the resistance here. That's wild. I did not expect they would actually be able to hit 16 amps. Ah, no, I didn't have the camera on right as it did it. When the battery is done, it then gives beep, beep, just a couple little quick beeps. Says done on here and tells you that everything is ready. So you can actually come in here and see G-Tech Lipo done, 42%. Final thoughts after testing this charger out is that, you know, it does really well. I can see why this is a really popular charger. The ability to do those smart tech batteries from Gens Ace plus standard batteries and being able to put a bunch of amperage to them if you need to charge them fast. All of that kind of stuff. Like it does everything that you're going to need. And the price is just pretty reasonable. Like you're just at just over $100, 120, 130, depending on where you look. I can give you a direct link down below to Amazon to where you can actually get these. And, you know, it gives you what you need. It'll do this. It is also future-proof. And I hear a lot of people as they get into RC, they are concerned about the price of a charger and they end up with some inferior $50, $60 chargers. At the end of the day, yes, this is double that price, but it's also a 2-port charger where a lot of those cheaper ones are, you know, only a single port, and up to 6S capability, 16 amp. As you continue your RC journey, this will charge anything that you ever need it to charge. And so it's kind of a buy it once and done kind of thing. And then you're just good for the rest of your RC hobby life with just this one charger. So that's why I think this thing is so popular. It is one of the more popular chargers that is out there. And I'm glad to get my hands on one and give it a test and see just why everybody seems to love it so much. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions about the charger, the stuff that I didn't address, leave them down in the comments. And if you are interested in buying one, again, I'll have a link to it in the video description. And if you're curious about any other tech stuff for RC stuff, things I have tested, there'll be a playlist popping up over here to your right. I hope to see you in one of those videos. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.